Okay, there it goes. Very strange. Okay, welcome everybody. Happy Thursday. Tonight's class is on Revolved Ardha Chandrasana. Oh boy, Revolved half moon. Yeah, so if you're like, I don't remember what that is, you will. You will remember Revolved Ardha Chandrasana. And the thought that I have is that whenever we talk about a pose being revolved, right, is we think that we're taking the pose as it initially was designed and we're turning it in some way. That's what it means to be revolved, right? Is that we're turning some part of ourselves in the pose. So this is half moon, but it's twisted, right? So you're in a twisting position, but you have the same one-legged connection that's going on with the lower body. So the upper body has changed orientation. So it's that changing orientation that gives us the opportunity to re-understand the pose as something new. So whenever you take a pose and you revolve it, is you're not just taking the pose and saying, oh, it's the same thing, but I'm just adjusting it, is that you're actually getting to reinterpret the pose completely, right? And so when we talk about this revolving or this evolution, because you don't have to say it's just a revolution, it's an evolution in yoga, right? We're progressing in some manner, is that we don't want to keep dragging behind us, right, the same concept over and over again, right? We have the chance to re-understand things as something new, right? So revolved Ardha Chandrasana, if you try to have too much of regular Ardha Chandrasana in your mind, then it's hard to do the pose correctly because you're trying to make it look like Ardha Chandrasana, right? So you have to re-understand it as something else. It's actually a one-legged twisting pose that still has this element of a lifted leg, a lifted arm, but it's no longer the same orientation that it used to be. It's something new, right? And this is what we can do with our minds, is we can stop assuming that things are the way they were before, whatever our before was, and that it's just shifted slightly, but that we can relearn, reinterpret the world anew. Situation, take it as it is, not what you thought it should be. Take it as it is, not what you expected it to be or what you wanted it to be or what you had in a previous moment, right? So that's what we're practicing, is being able to revolve our own perspective or evolve our own perspective and take things new, right? Without having to keep rehashing what is old. So comfortable seat if you're not there already. Let the eyes close. And just like the moon is always in this constant cycling, where it grows itself into fullness and then it dissolves itself into what looks like nothing. It dissolves itself into shadow, and then it evolves again back into its fullness, is that this is what we're in the process of all the time. So sometimes we can't see the fullness of what we are. Doesn't mean it isn't there. And sometimes retreating into that shadowy place where we don't want to be in the external, we want to be in the internal, is the most powerful place you can be. You take each moment, each situation as though it is its own, the eternal now. So no looking forwards, no looking back, just feel the breath as one breath now. Feel yourself in one moment now. And when we can do that without looking forwards or back, and we do it over and over again, then we naturally go through that waxing and waning, the growing and the dissolving, the pulsation that is the universe, and we don't struggle with it. And that's the goal of yoga, is to live fully without the struggle. So one more breath, that you are just now, eternal now. And bring the hands together in front of the heart center, palm to palm. We'll open with the sound of Om. Deep breath in. Let the eyes float open. Nice, you guys. You can release your hands and then find your way onto hands and knees. We'll come forward. Good. And just move with a little bit of cat and cow. So you warm up the spine, knees underneath the hips, hands underneath the shoulders, breathing, lifting on the inhale, lengthening of the spine, exhaling, curling and rounding, drawing in and up through the back of the rib cage. Good. And just find the rhythm of your breath. Nice. It's a constant reminder that as your mind wanders away to what happened yesterday or 10 minutes ago or 30 years ago, it wanders forward into what you're going to have for dinner later and what you're going to watch before TV and the emails you haven't answered, the work that's still waiting for tomorrow. Somewhere in between all that, there is a relaxed place that's just now. And that relaxed place is eternal. It doesn't go anywhere. It's our mind that jumps around. So you keep sliding in between your thoughts and you keep sliding back into that space that is relaxed, easeful. And I want you to remember that as you find yourself struggling in this pose, because that's what we do. We struggle in this pose. That even with the amount of effort that you're putting in, that you let your mind slide back into that easeful place. Good. Come back to a neutral spine so you're neither arched nor rounded. And then draw the low belly in just a little bit. So it's like you're lifting your hip points up off of your thighs just a tiny bit. So the lower spine should feel like it gets nice and full, nice and supported. And then draw your arm bones up into your shoulders, drop your chest just a little bit. So again, you're keeping that neutral spine, but you're not doing it by hunching your upper back. Good. And now take your right leg back behind you, lift it up in line with your hip. Good. Feel the top of that thigh pulling in and up towards the middle of the belly, so in towards the core of the body, and then extend out through the heel. And then walk your left arm forward and lift that arm in line with your shoulder. So you're coming into that balanced position, but you're reaching back through the heel and forward through your armpit at the same rate. Good. And that low belly is drawing in. Keep your hip points lifting up off of your thigh. So don't go into that arch of your lower back. Good. Yep. One more breath in case you stopped breathing. Nice. And then release back to hands and knees. Good. Try the other side. Again, keeping that integrity of the low belly drawing in, hip points up off of your thighs. Take the left leg back behind you, lift it up in line with your hip. Good. And so you're lifting from the inner thigh. So you imagine that someone is actually pulling that inner thigh up towards the ceiling. Toes are pointed down. And then walk the right arm forward, take the balance. Good. And again, you're trying to have this feeling that as much as you are reaching back through that left heel and as much as you are reaching forward through that front armpit, is that there's an equality. Good. Keep the low ribs drawing in, keep the low belly drawing in, turn those baby toes down towards the floor. So a little more, Perry, a little more, Dana, toes down towards the floor. That's it. Good. One more breath, lift that arm. Yes. And then release back to hands and knees. Good. Tuck the toes, lift the hips, downward facing dog. If you held your breath doing that, you're going to hold your breath in Revolved Ardha Chandrasana. So just be aware that if you are a breath holder, pedal your feet, please. That you're going to have to catch yourself when you're in the pose. And remember that the more you breathe, the lighter you feel. So if you stop breathing in a balancing pose, it doesn't make you better at balancing. It makes everything heavier. You want to stay buoyant. You want there to be an engagement, but not a clenching. You don't want to stop the flow of your energy when you balance. You want it to be a free flow. Good. Steady your heels towards the floor. Nice job. Take the right leg up and back behind you, down dog split. Good. Point those right toes down towards the floor. Good. Feel as though you're squeezing your feet towards each other. So your butt's going to go higher. That top foot is going to probably drop just a tiny bit because I want that arch to come out of your lower spine again. So draw your low ribs in, lift your butt higher as you squeeze the legs towards each other. Good. Now come up on the ball of your left foot. Keep the squeeze between the ankles. Good. Butt goes super, super high. I know it should feel like a lot of internal core work. Excellent. Let that left heel soften back towards the floor. Step the right foot between the hands, lunge. Good. And then step your left foot forward just a little bit. Turn the toes out to 45 degrees and come into warrior one. So your back foot is turned to the side, not all the way out to the side. Hips facing straight ahead, arms to the sky. You got it. Nice, you guys. Straighten the front leg for a moment so that you come into that straight stance. Lorraine, take your left foot wider to the left. There you go. So you can turn that hip forward a little bit more. Good. So with both legs straight, again, lift your hip points up. Feel the lift through your middle rib cage. Your low rib cage draws in, but your middle ribs lift up taller. Good. Now maintain that and bend that front knee again, coming back towards warrior one, pulling the thighs away from each other, but squeeze your feet towards each other. Yeah. Nice, you guys. Heart to the sky. So lift through those side ribs even more, like you're lifting from the top of your pelvic bones. That's it. One more breath. Good. Lisa, arms back. There you go. And then release the hands down to the floor. Nice, you guys. Spin your back heel up. Good. Widen your lunge or lengthen your lunge a little bit if you need to. And then left hand plants right arm to the sky. Twist. Good. So here already you have this simulation of revolved Ardha Chandrasana, right? So you're extending back through that left leg, kick your hips just a little bit higher, lift your butt up, send your tailbone up and back towards the wall behind you. Good. And then pull forward through that left armpit. So that hand that's on the ground, you got to actually anchor in. Good. And extend that whole left side body. Nice. Good. Release that right hand down to the floor. Nice job. Walk both hands inside the front foot. Walk to your left. Come to the center of your mat. Turn your toes. Prasarita Padottanasana. So you're in a wide-legged stance facing the long edge of your mat. Good. Baby toes parallel to the short edges, toes facing straight ahead. Nice. Bend your knees just a little bit. As your knees bend, widen. So send your inner thighs a little wider. Good. Press into your heels and then start to lift your hips up to take your legs towards straight. So don't push the knees back, but lift your hips up. Good. And then hands in front of you. So come up on your fingertips. So it's like you are on hands and knees. So not a down dog, hands underneath your shoulders, but come up onto straight arms. There you go. So it's like you're trying to bring your shoulders in line with your hips. So almost that neutral spine again. Good. So Lorraine, walk your hands forward a little bit more. Good. Joanne, same thing. Hands forward and then lift your chest up. That's it. Good. You can also place a block underneath a hand here if you feel like your shoulders are dipping really low. Keep your right hand where it is. Take your left hand to your sacrum, lower back. Good. Palm facing down. Yep. So press your sacrum up into your hand and then start to twist open, pressing into that right finger, to those right fingertips. Twist your ribs open to the left. So look to the left. Good. But don't drop through that right side. So you're pushing the floor away. Draw your low ribs in, low belly in. Take those hip points up off of your thighs. Keep your sacrum pressing up into your hands. Good. Long, long spine. Top of your head to your tail. Good. And then release and switch, please. Left hand comes down to the floor. Right hand comes to your sacrum. Same thing. You're pressing the sacrum up into your hands so that you have this lengthening of the legs that comes from pushing through your heels and pulling up through your thighs. So it's not about your back doing that. It's your legs doing it. And then start to twist to the right, pushing down into your left fingertip. So there's no collapsing. That left shoulder doesn't sink, but you're turning your chest and you're widening the inner thighs. Nice. And you're taking your sit bones back and wide. So there's a super long line from the top of your head to your tail. Good. Nice, you guys. And then release that hand back down to the floor, please. Good. Walk back to the top of your mat. Right toes turn forward. Step back, downward facing dog. Good. Slide forward, plank pose, upward push up. Lower down slow, coming through knees first if you need. Good. Stretch your arms forward in front of you. Good. Pointing the toes back behind you, pressing through the front of your pelvis. Lift your legs up. Lift your upper body as well. So head, neck, and chest, so like a Superman sort of position. So you're pulling up through the armpits, feeling the upper back really engaged. So it's like you're trying to pull your ribs away from the floor. Deep breath in. And exhale, release. Just stay where you are because you're coming back. Good. So I want you to feel again that as you come up into this, that as you engage your legs, so go ahead, lift just the legs. And if you are squeezing your butt in towards your tailbone, stop squeezing your butt in and feel that you are hugging your shins around a block, or you're hugging the thighs around a block. So there's space. You don't want the legs all the way together, but you want to get out of that feeling of I clench my butt to lift my legs, and then lift head, neck, and chest as well. Good. Nice. Same thing. If you're trying to clench your neck to get your shoulders up, drop your chin towards your chest and lift from the back of your heart. So the back of your throat will lift, but get the back of your heart awake, and then release. Good. Third time is always the most exciting time. So as you're ready, stretching the body nice and long, lift the legs up, lift head, neck, and chest, arms up alongside you. Good. Turn your palms to face down and then pedal your hands up and down and kick your feet like you're swimming. Yeah. And try to have it feel again that your hips and your shoulders are in line with each other. So it's not just that you're flailing your limbs, but you're actually moving whole cross body. Good. This is abdominal work. This is back work. This is frustrating work. So breathe. Keep going. I know it's hard. Good. It's called swimming, right? And there's sharks behind you. So you got to swim faster. Just for a breath, swim faster. There it is. And then inhale, lift everything. Really good. And then let it go. Nice job. Good. Make a pillow with your hands. Rest your forehead on your hands. Breathe for a second. Right. So we can use that metaphor of the moon to say that whatever pattern we see the moon moving through, it's always the same moon, right? And so this is our metaphor for our eternal self as well, is that it's the same self that is shining through every moment of your life, that's shining through every experience. So every thought, every emotion, everything that you go through, it's the same eternal self, same soul that's shining through that. And it appears to fluctuate simply because of the orientation that we're in, right? So if you see something from the side, it might appear that it's in shadow, but it's only because of the perspective, right? So this is what we learn as part of our practice, is to not get caught in my perspective sees it this way, therefore it's always true that way. We go back to realizing that if there is that one soul, there is that one self, there is that one place of equanimity that is behind or underneath or within all of that fluctuating. We don't have to get so upset when things change. And we don't have to assume that just because it looks different that there's not the same essence. We can comprehend things as something new, distinct. It's not carrying the weight of what happened before. End of your next breath, walk your hands back. Hopefully you recovered mentally. Come back to downward facing dog. The second side. That's why we give those little rest periods in an asana class, so you can recover mentally and emotionally. Left leg comes up and back, down dog split. Good. Reaching out through that heel. Good. Feel as though you are squeezing the feet towards each other. So again, it's like your tailbone lifts even higher as your hip points lift up towards your belly and your ribs draw in and up. So there's no arch in the lower back. And then come up high on the ball of your right foot, but keep squeezing the feet towards each other, butt up. There you go. Yep. And then keep that squeeze, soften the right heel back towards the floor. Nice, Joanne, good. And then step that left foot forward between the hands. Nice, step your right foot a little wider to the right, drop the heel to 45 degrees and come into warrior one. Good. And then once you found the position, what you feel like is the position, straighten the front leg. And as you straighten the front leg, maybe you find a little bit more support on the back heel. Send your inner thigh of the back leg back towards the wall behind you or the back of your mat. Good. Again, lift up through your hip points, get tall through your side ribs, your middle ribs. And then stay that lifted and start to bend the left knee again, coming back into warrior one, pulling the thighs apart and squeezing the feet towards each other. So equal weight forward and back, equal attention of the back thigh going towards the back of your mat, the front thigh descending towards the front of your mat. Nice. Linda, take your feet a little bit longer away from each other. So a longer stance. There you go. Good, you guys. One more breath. Get super tall. Chest up, arms back. Yeah. And then release the hands down to the floor. Good. Spin your back heel up, lengthen your lunge. So move that right foot back a little bit if you need. Good. Right hand stays on the floor, left arm to the sky, twist. And as you're twisting, right, you're not dropping your hand into that hand on the floor and collapsing. As you're pushing into that hand to lift your armpit a little higher, lift your right inner thigh a little higher, that's the extended leg, and then draw your tailbone up and back. So it's like you're trying to tilt your pelvis towards the back of your mat. Good, but keep that front knee over the ankle. Yeah, nice, you guys. And then pull on that right hand towards your left heel. Sorry, right hand towards right heel. Good. And then release the left hand down to the floor. Nice job. Both hands inside the front foot. Walk to your right. Come to the center of your mat. Wide legs. Nice, you guys. And then again, come up onto your fingertips. So you're trying to find your shoulders in line with your hips or close to it. Good. And then right hand stays where it is. Left hand comes back to your lower spine. So it gives you the reminder that you're lifting your sacrum up. So there's a squeeze together of the legs and a lift of the sacrum up towards the ceiling. Start to turn your belly to the left Good. Keep your right inner thigh nice and wide. And then you're pushing into those right fingertips to keep your armpit lifted away from the floor. Good. And now in this position, stretch your left arm parallel to the floor. So your left arm is going to leave your back and it's going to stretch straight out from your shoulder parallel to the floor. Good. Straight out. Nice. Yep. Now start to turn your rib cage up towards the ceiling. Your arm has to stay in line with your shoulder. So keep turning until that left hand either comes to the sky or you get to your end of your range of motion. Good. No collapsing that right hip. So your rib cage has to open in order for that arm to go up. If that arm can't come fully reaching for the ceiling, that's just telling you that there's flexibility in your back to build. But this is where you know if you're pushing too far. Release that hand down to the floor. I know, take a full breath. Remember what I said about breathing. Don't forget. And then try the other side. Left hand plants, right arm to the sky. Good. Or sorry, right hand to your low back first. Sorry about that. Good. Press your sacrum up into your hand. Defeats the exercise if I tell you to ignore the exercise. Press that sacrum up. So again, it's the front of the body rising up that creates the stability in the spine. Turn your belly to the right, pressing into your left fingertip. So again, you're keeping your left armpit really open. Good. And then stretch that right arm parallel to the floor, straight out from your shoulder. So this is so that you really understand that as you're twisting, pulling the arm back doesn't make your twist bigger. Is that you really have to move from the back. You have to move from the core. So start to take that right shoulder higher, rib cage open more. The arm stays right in line with your chest. So if your chest isn't fully rotated, your arm doesn't rotate any further than that. Good. So get out of that habit of pushing back through the arm to make your twists feel deeper. Good. Nice, you guys. Throat's going to move back as you come into that deeper twist. So Emily, move your weight towards the left toes. That's it. Shoulders more towards the left. Even more. Even more. There you go. Excellent. Release the hand down to the floor. Nice. Walk back towards the top of your mat. Downward facing dog. These are not hard poses, you've noticed. Good. Take a deep breath. And then bring the knees to the floor, please. Child's pose. No more sharks. No more what? Sharks. No more sharks. Yes. Luckily, no more sharks for now. For now. Some of you remember that I tried very hard when my daughter was born to avoid the baby shark song. I did not succeed. They made a cartoon show out of Baby Shark, you know, an internet cartoon show. My daughter likes to pretend to be a character in that show because her dream is to be an aquatic creature. Take one more deep breath. Good. And then bring yourself back up to hands and knees, please. All right, we're going to try this. It's going to be a tricky thing to do with your straps. Sounds fun. So grab your strap and I want you to actually make a loop with it. And you're going to come to stand. So you can come through downward facing dog if you want, but you're going to come to stand. And I want you to make a loop with your strap. And you're coming back into warrior one. So as you come up to stand, you're going to take your right foot forward. Your left leg is going to be back. See if I can remember how to instruct this properly. Good. And the strap is going to wrap around the front of your right shin. So you're the leg that's in front, it comes in front of your shin underneath the knee. So make sure that it's underneath your knee. So the loop of the strap is around the front of your shin and around your back thigh in warrior one. So it's got to be a pretty big loop. Yeah. So Joanne, your loop needs to be way bigger. So it's in front of your... It's in front of your front shin. Yep. And then it's got to go around your back thigh. So you've got to be able to step into your loop. It's got to be a big loop. So it needs to be bigger, Emily. Nope. Just so that we have at least a demonstration. Yes. Oh. You have to wear the strap. You have to wear the strap, yes. Oh, that's different. But this way. In front, something like that. Here, and then whatever the appropriate tension is. Right. There we go. All right, so step in. All right, so you guys can all sort of see what's going on here?
Front goes underneath the knee and then.
Yep, you gotta step both feet inside.
Oh, okay.
There you go. And then this is around the back
Yes.
thigh. And then tighten
Thigh,
as
right below the knee.
necessary.
Okay, and there should be enough left, some tension.
Okay.
Here we go.
Yeah, you got it. You need the back of the strap, Lorraine, to be around your back thigh, not your back shin. Although it kind of works at the shin too. Good. You got it, Joanne. Yep. All right, close enough. Find your warrior one. And again, you're focusing on, so the reason I'm doing this, right, is because in Revolved Ardha Chandrasana is there's this oppositional energy of the legs, right? One is going one way, the other is going the other way. And that requires us to have this ability to feel those oppositional pressures, right? So your front shin is pressing against the block and now really work that back thigh up and against the strap at the back. So you're really working the back thigh here to lift the back thigh up into the strap. And the shin is just there as you're kind of holding reference. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yep, you can feel something happening here that you usually don't feel in Warrior One. Good. Yeah, so you can maybe even spin your left hip forward a little bit more. Maybe. Good. Nice, you guys. One more breath just on this side and then we'll just switch. Keep it simple. And then go ahead and release this side and try the other side. So you're stepping the left foot forward. You shouldn't have to change your strap much. You just have to reorient it. Make sure that that back foot is wide enough to the right. So Lorraine, step your right foot wider to the right. Your back foot wider to the right. There you go. Good. Nice. And make sure that the strap is not pressing into your kneecap. You want it just below. So it's not actually pressing on your knee joint. So Mark, I would take the strap just a half an inch lower. There you go. Good. And then again, come into that Warrior One position where your shin, you're drawing that front knee over the front ankle. So your shin is moving forward, but your inner thigh is pulling back. Good. Yeah. So again, this feeling of having the hug of the strap, like there's this feeling of everything being really held. And at the same time, you're widening, is that this is what we want to simulate in Revolved Ardha Chandrasana, is the legs are moving away from each other, but we want this feeling of connection still, even though the feet are going wide. Right? So you're practicing that feeling of I pull the inner thigh back and up because that's the energy that needs to happen to keep that back leg lifted in the pose, right? That's got to be there. Good. So one more breath, powerful back thigh. Lift your back thigh up into the strap. That's it. And then slowly release, please. Place your straps to the side. You get 10,000 extra yoga points for figuring out how to do that strap position virtually.
Next time we'll know.
Next time you'll know if you've never done that one before. It's a fun little exercise. All right. So standing at the top of your mat, inhale the arms up to the sky. Actually, no. Actually, yes. Nope. Stay where you are. I changed my mind because you all don't have a wall, so I'm not going to do that. So inhale both arms up. Exhale, bow forward. Thought about doing a lot of things in that moment. Step your right leg back behind you, please. Good. And then drop the knee towards the floor. So Anjaneyasana, use a blanket if you'd like. Good. Inhale the arms up to the sky. Good. And then I want you to work that same energy here. So you can tuck the back toes if you'd like, or back toes can be curled with a pointed ankle if you want. But I want you to do that same feeling of pressing through that front heel, but start to draw the back thigh up towards the back wall or towards the back of your mat. So it's a pulling up through your back thigh, inner thigh lift. So it's going to change the way the leg feels in the hip socket. So your whole pelvis has to lift a little bit to make that happen, right? So lift that back thigh up and back. Good. Nice. And then release the hands to the floor. Beautiful. Lift your back knee. Walk your fingertips forward, come into standing split. Hands underneath the blocks if you'd like, or blocks underneath your hands is the way that makes sense. Good. So that same sort of energy here, you can let the upper body hang a little bit. So don't worry about having your chest lifted at the moment, but really work that thigh energy up. So kick that thigh higher, turn your toes down towards the floor. So Perry, turn that right hip so it really is facing the floor. Keep turning it down. Keep turning it down. Keep turning it down. Yep.
Wow.
Good. Nice, you guys. And then lift that inner thigh without letting your hip fly open. Good. Now maintain that. Navel is in. Come up on your fingertips or on your blocks. Bring your shoulders up level with your hips if you can. If you need blocks to do that, put blocks underneath your hands if they're handy. Good. So Emily, use the blocks just because. There you go. Shoulders up in line with your hips. Good. Now you can kick your thigh higher, can you not?
Yes.
Yeah. Good. One more breath there. Good. Release that right foot down to the floor alongside the left. Separate your feet nice and wide. Come into squat. Turn your toes. I know squat feels like a break.
Easy.
Squat is so easy.
Resting pose now.
Yeah. So this is one of Revolved Ardha Chandrasana is one of those poses where we have to be realistic about our body proportions, because even if we can do the pose, right, we're able to do it with our hands on the floor, is we're going to be limited automatically by having our shoulders lower than our hips, right? So if you are someone who has short arms like me, the pose is just simply going to be more difficult. It doesn't mean that you can't do it. It means that it's going to be more difficult. So having that support underneath the hands to lift your shoulders up, get your spine more in alignment, means you have more availability to keep the leg lifted with less effort. And it also means you'll have more room to actually twist the torso when we get to that part. So just notice that if putting the blocks underneath your hands gave you a lot more space in your spine, consider doing Revolved Ardha Chandrasana with blocks all the time, whether you quote need them or not. Hands to the floor, take your legs to straight, forward fold. Again, all yoga postures are certainly capable of being done without props, but if the props give you space to do it more easily and more realistically, why would you deny yourself that? That's the question. So heel toe the feet a little closer, please. Step the left leg back behind you. Drop the knee. Use a blanket if you need. Anjaneyasana, arms to the sky. Good. Lifting through your hip points, letting the pelvis move forward just a little bit more. You got it. And then feel as though you are pulling your thigh up and back. Nice. Yep. So it's all thigh energy. So your pelvis has to lift just a little bit. So you don't get to collapse towards the floor. That's the thing. If your back thigh is pulling up, is that you can't go into that arch of your lower back. Good. Because you don't want the arch in your back in Ardha Chandrasana. Beautiful. Good. You guys release the hands down to the floor. Good. Lift that back knee. And then walk your fingertips forward, step up, standing split, with or without the blocks. Your choice. Good. Turn your left baby toes down towards the floor until your hips are in the same line. So if I was going to balance a block on your lower back, I should be able to do it. But I want that low back to be level, as frustrating as that is. Good. Nice, nice, nice. You can let the head hang for a moment because I want you to really just work inner thigh up, up, up. So take the leg as high as it will go without turning the hip open. So you got to widen your inner thighs here, pushing them away from each other. Flex that left foot. Good. And then if you haven't already, maybe take your hands up onto the blocks or come up onto your fingertips so you lift your shoulders more in line with your hips. Good. Feel your low rib cage draw in. And now you can lift that leg a little higher. You can lift your shoulders a little higher. There you go, Perry. Nice, you guys. Long spine. So Mark, press out through the crown of your head. That's it. So don't lift the head, just press forward, long shoulders. There you go. Excellent. Release that left foot down to the floor. Nice. Good. Separate the feet nice and wide. Come back to squat. If your outer hips are tight, the standing leg in Revolved Ardha Chandrasana will most likely spasm at you at some point. You'll just feel it go, and that'll be that. That's the official sound that it makes. Just like that. So if your outer hips are very tight, right, Revolved Ardha Chandrasana becomes a very difficult pose, right? Even more difficult. So again, my suggestion is blocks, blocks, blocks. Use them. Good. So poses like hip openers, squat, and anything else that works the outer hips and thighs, really useful beginning. Take one more breath, lifting the chest. Good. And then release onto your butt, please. Hooray. Good. Stretch your legs out in front of you. Maybe hooray. I don't know. Flex your feet. Good. Inhale the arms up to the sky. And bow forward, please. Beautiful. Sending your butt back behind you, just a long stretch. And you can use a strap here if you want. You have the strap. You could use it around your feet if you want. Good. So Dana, point your, press through the big toe mounds of your feet. Yeah, just the baby toes curl back more. That's going to give you more stretch on the outer edges of your feet. Good. And then walk yourself all the way back up. Really nice, you guys. Good. Come onto your backs, grab your straps. And this is something, if you have a wall and you want to use the wall, you guys that are in the room, if you want to turn around so that your feet face the wall, you can. If you don't have a wall, don't worry. Good. So legs straight with your feet up against the wall. Laying on your back, feet up against the wall. If you don't have a wall, don't worry about it. Don't make yourself crazy trying to find a wall. You can just stay where you are. The wall is just nice if you are doing this where you have the wall space, is that it's a good reference for what the leg that stays on the ground is doing. Good. Oh, you guys are so cute. You can totally make that work. Nice. Ingenuity. Awesome. Make sure you have your straps. So you're going to keep your left foot pressing into the wall, toes facing straight up and down. Draw your right knee in towards your chest. Take the strap around the ball of your right foot. So again, you can let go of the loop that's there, or you can keep it however you like to use your strap. And then extend that right leg up towards the ceiling. Good. Trying to find a true 90-degree angle with your leg. So that means that that right heel is pointing straight up and down from the hip, and that left heel is pressing straight into the wall. Good. So you don't need that right leg to come any closer towards your belly than 90 degrees. That's what we're trying to experience here, is what is 90 degrees. Good. What is 90 degrees? I'll tell you if you're off. Good. You're pretty good. Your thigh could go just a tiny bit towards the wall, Dana.
Okay.
Yeah. And really what it is, you guys, is that your lower back should be pressing down into the floor. So that right leg is extending, but I want you to pull the right thigh bone down to the floor. So it's like you're trying to actually root your leg down into the floor, and then you press up through the ball of your foot. So not necessarily the heel, but through the ball of your foot, press up. The underside of your ankle, reach up. Good. Nice, you guys. And then relax your shoulders. Good. So Perry, move your foot a little bit more towards the wall. So move it away, thigh away from your belly. There you go, right about there. Good. So you can imagine here that either leg is your standing leg, right? But there's energy between both of them. Good. And then take both the strap into your left hand, please. And then you got to turn that foot that's on the wall. So everything's going to twist open to the left. So turn that foot that's on the wall with you as you bring the right leg over your body over to the left. So a twist. And you're bringing your right arm wide to the right. Keep the strap around the foot so you continue to push the foot into the strap. Only go to 90 degrees. So don't drop that foot to the floor, even if it can go there. Keep it lifted in line with your hip. Good. And then reach out through your right rib cage. So this is creating the twist of revolved Ardha Chandrasana, but on your back, right? So instead of doing the work, what you think through your legs is you're now using your shoulders to stabilize. Good. But legs have to still work, right? Maybe. Good, you guys. One more breath. Awesome. Come all the way back up to center, turning the feet. Good. Hug the right knee in towards your chest. Told you outer hips and thighs will ruin your day in Revolved Ardha Chandrasana. So we got to open them up. Draw the left knee in towards your chest, right foot up against the wall. You see the value of the wall, right? Because it gives you something to push into, gives you reference, gives you stability, reminds you that you're not lost in a terrible, terrible universe of painful muscles. Whatever. You've not been abandoned. That's what the wall reminds you of. All right, so you're stretching your left leg straight up towards the sky, strap around the foot. Good. And you're still really pressing that right foot into the wall. So the top of your right thigh is helping to root towards the floor. So again, you're finding more length in the lower back. Good. And you can imagine here that again, even though the legs are nice and wide, is you can feel like you're still trying to squeeze your feet towards each other. But your pressure on the strap is not going to allow the feet to actually come together. Good. Joanne, move your thigh away from your belly just about an inch. There you go. That's 90 degrees. Good. I know, don't lock your knees here, you guys. So you're pressing up through the ball of your foot, push through the ball of your foot more than your heel. Nice. Good, good, good. So just basic hamstring stretch, right? And then take the strap into your right hand, start to come into the twist. So that foot that's on the wall has to turn with you as you take the left leg over. Don't let it move towards the floor though. Keep it in line with your hip. So the foot on the wall turns all the way to the side. So Mark, keep turning the foot on the wall. There you go. But the leg that is extended with the strap only goes in line with your hip. It doesn't go further than that. And then really reach out through your left rib cage, extend out through that left arm. Really good, Lisa. Nice, Linda. You got it, Perry. Nice, Dana. Good, you guys. So even here, you can feel, can you draw your low belly in and press your butt back towards an imaginary wall and still press out through that left heel? Of course you can. You don't want to, but you can. Good. Nice, you guys. Come all the way back up to center. Really good. Draw that knee in towards your chest. Release the strap. Good. Okay, left foot back onto the wall. Right knee in towards your chest. Good. Extend that heel up towards the ceiling. No hands. Good. So no strap, no hands. Just the power of your very own legs. Good. Rooting that left thigh down towards the floor. Take the arms nice and wide. Good. Drawing the low rib cage down. So actually press into your hands, whether your palms are up or down, press into your arms on the floor. Good. And then start to come into that twist. Again, keeping the arms exactly where they are. No hands, no straps. Start to turn the leg. So the right leg is coming across the body over to the left. Turn that foot that's on the wall. Good. So Lisa, keep turning your foot. There you go. Don't let that leg come beyond your hip. It goes right in line with the hip, and that's where you stay. Good. So Emily, you could come just a tiny bit further. That's it. Excellent. Come all the way back up. Again, no hands. You're doing this from the support of your navel and your spine. Excellent. Hug that right knee in towards your chest. You'll tell me later if this is better or worse than just doing the pose. And then extend your right foot down to the wall. Draw your left knee, and you can use your hands for that if you want. Good. And then release the arms nice and wide again. Stretch your left heel up towards the sky, no hands. Good, keep that right thigh rooting down. Good, pressing through the heel. Nice, you guys. Again, not beyond 90 degrees. So you're not trying to pull that thigh any higher up in towards your belly. You're trying to keep the entire length on your spine. Good, that's the trick in Revolved Ardha Chandrasana. As soon as you start to pull everything in too close, is you're gonna get stuck. Start to come into the twist, please, bringing the left thigh over the body. Turn that foot that's on the wall. And then again, keep that 90-degree angle. So the heels have to pull away from each other, but that thigh stays in line with your hip. Your heel stays in line with your hip. Nice. Keep your low belly drawing in, your rib cage reaching down for the floor. Again, you'll tell me later if this is more or less work than the actual pose. And then come all the way back up. Beautiful. Hug that knee in towards your chest. Good. Bring the right knee in as well. So both knees come in. Beautiful. Do a little massage on your lower back so you can circle the knees. Good. Go the other way. Nice. And then hugging the knees in, come into happy baby. Draw your knees wide. Reach for your ankles or your feet. Good. Relaxing the shoulders wide. I just feel like every pose that I do as I'm teaching this style of class, I come up with like 30 more things. And I'm like, ooh, wish we could have done that. Ooh, wish we could have done that. So again, if you're practicing this pose regularly, shoulder opening, a little extra shoulder opening is certainly beneficial. We're just not doing it a lot today. Good. Hug your knees back in towards your chest. If I had 3 hours with you, we'd do more shoulder opening. Good. And then roll yourself to the side, please. Come on up to sit. Come on to hands and knees. Good. And then come into downward facing dog. Nice. Right foot steps forward between the hands. Lunge. Good. Walk your fingertips forward, step up, standing split. So your right leg is forward, left leg comes up parallel to the floor. Use blocks underneath the hands if you'd like. Good. Good. Give a little bend to that right knee. Start to lift your chest up higher, coming into warrior 3 from the floor. So you can bring hands to heart center if you'd like, or you can stretch those arms forward in front of you, but come up to warrior 3. So you have to bring your shoulders up in line with your hips. Good. The bent standing knee makes this a lot easier. Good. You guys are great there with hands on the blocks. You're working great. Good. And then release the hands back down to the floor, please. Straighten the standing leg again, standing split. Beautiful. Flex that foot a whole lot. Good. And then step back to lunge, please. Inhale, arms to the sky, high lunge. Good. Feel that back thigh rising higher, chest open. Beautiful. And then release the hands down to the floor. Left hand plants right arm to the sky, twist. Back thigh lifts up, lengthen. Pull the top of your head away from your tail. Pull your tail up and back away from your head. Good. Beautiful. Release that left hand down to the floor. Walk your fingertips back forward, step up, standing split. This is the big finish, you guys. The crescendo. It's the crescendo. Good. Legs are so awake right now. Come up onto your blocks or onto your hands, up onto your fingertips. Right hand stays where it is. Bring your, left hand stays where it is. Right hand comes to your lower back. So don't try and do it the other way. Good. So you're turning towards the standing leg, feeling like you're squeezing the ankles together, but kicking the thighs away. Press your sacrum up and turn your shoulders, and then stretch your arms straight out, parallel to the floor. Don't reach it straight up. Do that same thing where you lift your shoulder open more, rotating from your ribs, rotate open, 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 like you're gonna bring that shoulder up to the sky. Keep lifting through your left inner thigh, push wide, push wide. Excellent. Release the hand, release the leg, downward facing dog. Freaking revolved Ardha Chandrasana. Vinyasa if you're crazy, child's pose if you prefer. Just kidding. If the vinyasa feels like a relief to you, do the vinyasa. If the child's pose is what you need, do the child's pose. Yeah. Vinyasa if you're insane. There's an easeful place in every one of these poses, right? That's what we're asked to find, is that no matter how difficult or how complicated, it's our mind that jumps around in the experience, but there's an easeful place. There's an easeful way to move through it. And a lot of it is paying attention to where am I rotating from? And am I trying to make this pose act like a different pose just because they share the same name, right? Ardha Chandrasana. It is the same pose, like it's the same concept, but it's rotated. And because it's rotated, it's completely different actions, right? If you were taught this pose first and then taught regular Ardha Chandrasana, would you say they're the same? Heck no, right? But once you know that they share similarities, as you say, oh, okay, yeah, I can see that. It's like if you first saw the moon while it was full and then you saw it while it was just a sliver, would you say, oh, that's not the same moon? This is our mind, as we're able to interpret things as they fluctuate and know that there is that eternalness underneath. Downward facing dog, second side. No avoiding it. If I can remember what the heck I did. Left foot steps forward between the hands, lunge. Good. Walk your fingertips forward, step up to standing split. Again, using blocks under the hands if you'd like. Good. So you're moving from here into warrior three. So you got to flex that foot that's in the air, widen your inner thigh. So don't let that leg fall in towards the midline. If all of your weight is shifting over to the left, this is going to be really hard. Take more weight onto that right hand. Good. And then start to bend your standing knee and start to lift your chest a little higher. Kick your back heel higher. Good. Lift up into warrior three. So your shoulders come in line with your hips. Again, that has to happen from the front of your pelvis, from the front of your ribs. Even if the hands don't leave the blocks, try to lift the chest up. Excellent. Really good, Lorraine. You got it. And then release the hands down to the floor, straighten that standing leg, kick that right thigh higher. Don't give it up. Long spine. Good. Step back to a lunge, please. I know. Inhale, arms to the sky, high lunge. Chest up. Lift that back thigh. Good. Again, you're finding the power and the length of that back leg. Beautiful. Release the hands back to the floor. Right hand plants, left arm to the sky. Twist. Not yet, Emily. Regular twist. Good. Kick that back thigh higher. And again, pull from the crown of your head. Lift that tail up and back. Good. It's full length on your spine. And then release that left hand down. Walk your fingertips forward again. Step back up into standing split. Right thigh parallels the floor. Good. Kicking that thigh even higher. Up on your fingertips, lift your shoulders in line with your hips as much as you can. Pull that heel back, but your armpits forward, just like warrior three. Right hand stays where it is. Left hand comes to your lower back. Let your weight redistribute. So there's a little weight on that right hand. Press your sacrum up. Turn your ribs open to the left. Kick that right thigh higher. Yep. And then take your left arm straight, parallel to the floor, straight out from your chest. And from your ribs, open more. Rotate, rotate, rotate. Keep that right thigh lifting up. Right thigh lifting up, throat back, Dana. You got it. You got it, Lisa. Good, Linda. Excellent, Perry. Release the hand, release the leg, step back, downward facing dog. Did you hold your breath? Yes. Did I warn you you were going to hold your breath?
Yes.
Yep. You didn't heed my warning. Drop to your knees, please. Good. Cat cow your spine. Don't collapse into the child's pose, please. Cat cow your spine. I know, we'll get there. We'll get there. Little cat cow. Again, it's easy in a pose like our revolved Ardha Chandrasana to over muscle it, as we say, right? To engage so much that we do. We cause that spasm, or we cause that clenching, or we cause that something to catch, right? So you want to work that out after you've done the poses. Don't just do revolved Ardha Chandrasana and Shavasana. Don't just do those. Good. Come back to stillness, please. Now take your knees wide, drop your hips back, child's pose. Even that sort of dramatic moment of coming out of a pose like revolved Ardha Chandrasana and going straight into what should feel like a hip release, that dramatic transition from I'm engaging my hips to I'm releasing my hips can feel jarring. So that little space in between, again, makes your child's pose more easeful, as though you needed it to be. Good, you guys. Very deep breaths. We joke and say when you walk into the room or walk onto your mat is that you're asked to leave the rest of the world behind and just go into that inner world. And same thing, whatever you experience, you know, on your mat, whatever struggles there were in this pose or that pose, is don't drag it around with you. It's part of this practice of the revolution, right? Of being able to see things in new ways, is that this moment is not the one that was before. This moment is now. And whatever is here, and whatever isn't, isn't. So there's no carryover. I'm dragging this behind me. I'm dragging that forward. One more deep breath. Good. And walk yourself all the way back up, please. Come to sit. Nice. So coming into Gomukhasana, if we can. So right thigh stacks on top of left, knees in line with each other. If you need a block or something underneath your seat, you can have that. Good. Feet going a little wider. So you should be sitting between your heels, not on your heels. Yeah, you got it. Nice, you guys. And then just either fingertips to the floor, keeping the chest nice and lifted, or forward fold, whatever's available. Good, that's perfect, Lorraine. You got it. Good, you guys. There's a reference in Buddhism that says that there's really only one moon, but if you see it reflected in 10,000 pools of water, as you might think that there are 10,000 moons. But all of those reflections are still illuminated from the one source, the one moon. And that one source, again, is what we have, is that sense of the eternal light, or the eternal being, the eternalness that is underneath all of these reflections that appear to be fluctuations, appear to be separation, appear to be opposition. So we practice not just to open up potential in the body, but we practice to open up that space in the mind that's able to see beyond this moment, but to also respect this moment, to feel the eternalness of things, but also to know that that eternalness is existing in this moment as much as it is in any other one, no matter how it looks, how it feels. That same light is being reflected through what you're experiencing right this instant. It's never gone from you. It never disappears. Walk yourself all the way back up, please. Good. Fancy little maneuver. So if you are in that crossed position, is you're going to take both hands to the outside of your left hip, and you're going to walk your hands around, lift your butt, and you're going to walk yourself so you face the back of your mat, lift your hips, straighten your legs. So you should come into straight legs facing the back of your mat. Pause for a breath there, and then keep walking to your left. Keep your feet as wide as your mat. Keep walking to your left. Turn your toes. And then you bring your right butt cheek down to the floor. Keep walking to your left. Keep going. Turn your toes. And as you keep walking, you brought your feet with you too much, Joanne. So keep your feet there. Keep walking your hands. Yeah, now turn your toes just enough and then keep walking. Turn your feet. Yep, turn your feet. Keep turning them. Keep turning them. So you're coming to face the top of your mat. And as you come to face your hips, turn around, you're going to bring that right knee down to the floor, right butt down to the floor. And as your butt comes to the floor, your left leg is already crossed on top. You're back in Gomukhasana. You got it. Yoga breakdancing move. You got it. Or just come into the second side, however you want to. Left thigh over top upright. You got it, Joanne. You did it. Good job. Either staying upright or forward fold, your choice. Good. Again, flexing the feet here. And it might feel like you just have to stay upright and let the hips do what they do. Again, totally fine if you are doing a variation where your shins are crossed and you're leaning forward, but just realize that that's a different stretch on the hips, so it's still a good stretch. It's just different. Revolved Ardha Chandrasana is not Ardha Chandrasana, just turned sideways. It's its own sort of reality. It's its own perspective. When we're able to leave things behind and accept things as they are eternally, just now, then there's space in that, there's freedom in that. But when we struggle to keep things the same because it's what we're used to, it's what we had before, it's the struggle, that struggle to keep things the same that creates that feeling of unhappiness, ongoing unhappiness. So we let the mind go from that and we let go of our attachment to our own unhappiness. It doesn't have to be there simply because it was present a moment ago. So you let yourself feel what you feel, but don't drag it along behind you. Whatever are your inner struggles is, can you keep turning them around so that you see them from different perspectives, different angles, with the light shining on them instead of being obstructed by them. Remember that that eternal light is never not shining. Good. Walk yourself all the way back up, please. Nice. Release the legs. Good. Stretch them out in front of you. Give them a little shake if they need. Good, good, good. And then bring the bottoms of the feet together, please. Let your knees go wide. Baddha Konasana. A nice long Baddha Konasana. So draw your heels away from your groins a little bit more. Good. And then let yourself fold forward. If you want to do the variation where you thread your arms underneath your knees, it's a nice position to come into here. Again, so there's that feeling of support. You can also place a block on your feet or underneath your head. Good. The idea in this variation especially is that you are not trying to extend the spine, right? Revolved Ardha Chandrasana is a lot of extend, extend, extend. In this position is you're letting yourself drop in and be held. So there's a softening of your joints, softening of the spine. Accepting when your blocks fall away from you. Good. Just a couple more breaths so that you feel yourself really relaxing into the position. And if you never let yourself relax in a yoga pose, do it now. Relax. Soften the shoulders. There you go. Good. Start to slowly unwind yourself, unwinding the arms. Beautiful. And then go ahead and find your way back onto your backs. I'm extremely tempted that if you are in the room and you want to do legs up the wall, go ahead and do legs up the wall.
Don't tell me.
I know, because everyone in the room is like,
This is why we came.
This is why we came. Legs up the wall.
You ain't got no walls in your house.
I do.
I know.
Just don't want to get footprints on them. They're not the same.
It's not the same.
Nope. They don't have a tree.
Relaxing the arms. The beauty of this position is you let the floor hold you, you let the wall hold you. Your spine finds its own length. Your legs find their own length. The moon is always a metaphor for what is unseen, what is internal instead of external. So when we talk about the moon, it's about the inner states of your mind, of your emotions. It's about your inner world. It's about the way that you dream and imagine the external world to be, the way you interpret it. Because it's in that interpretation that you either create your freedom or your suffering, your happiness or your unhappiness. So being able to break the cycle of trying to keep things the same, the way that we think, the way that we feel. Trying to keep our interpretations exactly the same, never changing. Break that habit. You start to embrace every moment for what it is. Eternally new and eternally now. The word for that in Sanskrit is pranava. It's always renewing itself. It said that about the sound of Om as pranava. But this is our nature, is that we are always renewing. We're always new, and we are always eternally now. And don't worry if you have no idea what that means. Me either. We practice to find out. You're welcome to stay here for the rest of Shavasana. At any point that you feel that you would like to come away from the wall, change your leg position. Do what you'd like to do, but I'm not going to cue you out at this point. So if you want to come away from the wall whenever you're ready, do that. Very gently bring the awareness back to the breath. Let your body begin to stretch and move in whatever ways serve it well. If your legs are on the wall, draw the knees in towards the chest and pause a moment there. And find your way onto the right side again as you move away from the wall, being conscious of how you're moving. Finding your way all the way up to sit. And bring the hands together in front of the heart center, palm to palm. Remembering that Shavasana is corpse pose. So it's the pose where we let go of our connections to what was, the body and the mind, the way that we think that we're supposed to be. So when you come out of Shavasana, you reawaken, you reemerge. Just don't carry around what was the moment before. Don't bring it with you. Because whatever it is that is eternally true, that is fundamentally you, will always be with you. Never goes anywhere. But if you have to try to make it maintain itself, then that's a lot of mental effort that you're trying to force the world to fit with. Let it go. Find that easeful place where whatever there is, and whatever there isn't, there isn't. Let's continue to move towards that. And it's okay that things will still grip, that you'll still hang on, you'll still carry stuff around. Me too. But we keep moving towards that experience of moving through the world in an easeful way where we easily let go and we easily receive. And all of it is that perspective that eternally you are now. There is nowhere else, nothing else, just now. And that light, the eternal light, is always shining. So you come back to that over and over and over again and relax just a little bit. We'll close with the sound of Om. Deep breath in. Sliding the thumbs up to the space between the eyebrows. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you guys so much. Really good work today. Have a great rest of your night, a great rest of your week. If you're coming back at 8 o'clock tonight, Josh and Mark and whoever else is doing live music. So that's tonight, every Thursday night at 8 o'clock in studio, not online. So you have to be here. And then just heads up, next week, next Thursday, I will be away. So this class will only be in person, and Jeannie is teaching a restorative class that day in studio only. So there'll be no online class next Thursday at 6. Got it? Following week, I'm back like normal. Okay.
Okay, enjoy yourselves.
Thank you.